Asturias is at a crossroads between landscape and history. Like Santa Maria del Naranco, a beautiful and mysterious building declared a World Heritage Site. In the times of the Asturian monarchy in the 9th century, people were already drinking cider in this land. Today, the monument and the beverage are two symbols. Cider has been Asturias as long as Asturias has existed, a millennial, popular and festive culture, a mix of history, economy and landscape. The landscape gives Asturias its personality, a region of 10,600 square kilometres in northwest Spain. Separated from the rest of the Iberian Peninsula by the Cantabrian Mountains to the south, and open to the Atlantic on north coast of 334 kilometres.
The ocean, the mountains and a humid Atlantic climate with the most moderate temperatures in Europe shape a landscape which is organised into pomaradas, or apple orchards for apple growing. These units of production are associated with the traditional agricultural holdings, the casería, or farmhouse.
Teníamos una casería tradicional asturiana con ganado, huerta, frutales, molino. Fuimos reuniendo parcelas, haciendo concentración con vecinos y comprando. La pomarada salió adelante hasta el día de hoy.
The traditional Asturian apple orchard is an agricultural holding where around 150 apple trees are planted per hectare, combining apple trees and pasture. It currently coexists with new agricultural techniques. The cycle goes from April to November, from the flowering of the trees until the harvesting of the apples. It is a sustainable activity. Ancient wisdom can be combined with current ecological certifications and protected designation of origin. 80% of cider apple growing in Spain is concentrated in Asturias, with more than 500 varieties of apples, some of which are supported by the regulating council.
La manzana de Asturias es diferente, ¿no? Tiene un toque de sabor especial.
The practices surrounding cider production have given rise to rural, historical and cultural landscapes of great social value. And, while the agricultural sector has become more modern, it continues to link the community with these landscapes through the rite of cider drinking.
Para mí la sidrería Asturias.
Cider production has been a profitable activity for Asturian farmhouses at least since the 18th century. We can still find devices of great ethnological value used to press apples, lagares or cider presses, the main production space of cider regions.
La sidra natural en Asturias la llamamos natural por varias razones. Una de ellas es que la levadura que se utiliza tradicionalmente es una levadura salvaje. Está en las pomaradas, está en el propio lagar. Una vez elaborada así y fermentada, es una sidra que no filtramos ni se pasteuriza, no se estabiliza. Incluso después en botella sigue evolucionando, cogiendo su carácter, y algo muy especial es que desde que se embotella hasta que llega a la sidrería y se consume, normalmente no pasa ni un mes. Aparte es una sidra seca, ácida, no se añaden azúcares y desarrolla acidez volátil que incluso se marca más en la botella y es algo que la hace única a nuestra sidra natural asturiana.
The change in techniques and contraptions has not substantially altered the process of making natural cider since the earliest presses. It starts when the apples arrive and they are washed and selected by hand before being crushed. The magaya, or the crushed pulp, passes to the press where the must or sweet cider is extracted. This liquid is pumped afterwards to the barrels, made of chestnut wood, fibre or stainless steel, where it will be fermented, thus becoming cider that is ready to bottle in recyclable glass bottles. Almost 100 commercial presses, and at least 400 for domestic production, produce roughly 80 million litres of cider, a sector that, in spite of its modernisation and concentration, is still distributed throughout the lands of Asturias. Industry from the earth that leaves almost no carbon footprint, modern and traditional, where each press uses not only the most innovative techniques, but also secrets handed down through the generations.
Cuando era niño, que ya me decía mi padre, el padre de él, mi abuelo que murió muy joven, que ya hacía sidra para en casa.
Cada vez la tecnología nos permite hacer las cosas mejor, la sidra mucho más agradable que hace unos años, a lo mejor que la sidra era más fuerte y tal, y se va incorporando la gente más joven y se va incorporando incluso eso, ya nuevos diseños en etiquetas, nuevos diseños en la forma de presentar la sidra.
Para mí la sidra que vivo fuera de Asturias es volver a casa.
The cider was a product of a rural world of celebrations and popular festivals. It was drunk in legares, or old cider press houses, and espichas, or community meetings at which a barrel was opened to accompany the food that was served to celebrate a special day. But the world changed, and cider changed with it, until it became something unique.
El origen de la sidra casera en Asturias pues estuvo siempre vinculado a la familia, al compartir una bebida que formó parte siempre de la tradición asturiana.
A new sparkling fermented cider in bottles, which starting in 1884 was already being sent to Cuba and afterwards to all of America. The Asturian centres distributed throughout the entire world still reproduce the rites associated with cider today. Popular festivals and espichas adapted to the new rituals of commodified leisure, and they were a business. The Asturian glass factories designed and produced bottles and then glasses, which over the course of the 20th century replaced ceramic and wooden jugs, one glass for everyone, a fragile and expensive item that had to be shared.
La sidra es un pueblo que comparte y saborea la vida.
This was the origin of the gesture that transformed the drinking ritual
To make Asturian cider the social drink par excellence.
passing the glass from hand to hand. A gesture of poor people made the cider rich.
El escanciado es muy necesario para mejorar la calidad de la sidra porque en botella contiene un poquito de gas, pero no el suficiente para darle esos aromas y esos sabores. Y entonces es cuando tenemos que levantar la botella y echarlo desde lo alto, intentando que el chorro tenga un caudal suficiente para que golpee el vaso y abra ese gas carbónico. Esta sidra, ¿qué tal está? La postura que yo adopto pues es con el vaso lo más alejado posible de la botella, en el centro del cuerpo. Es importante mantener el ángulo del vaso, que son como unos 45 grados, y levantar la botella todo lo más posible.
Over the last few decades, cider has reaffirmed itself strongly as the emblem of Asturias. The ranks of those who drink it every day include young people and women. What had been popular industry and sentiment was institutionalised with administrative support, new designations, organisations or festivals. This, together with its symbolic value, has positioned cider in the 21st century, competing with beverages that are drunk and marketed globally by companies that are still family-owned.
Para mí la sidra es mi tradición familiar.
Cider has its own social dimension.
Due to the escanciado, the manner of pouring it, which has become iconic.
Due to the shared glass, which has become a sign of brotherhood, and due to its low alcohol content, which prolongs the meal and the conversation. Drinking cider is, above all, talking.
Para mí la sidra es una forma de encontrarse entre la gente.
Connoisseurs of cider have their own vocabulary. They know
Si es palma,
whether it fizzes, whether it has
dulcipie,
or whether it is
atropeada.
Because a cider that is noble or authentic is also parlamentaria, or promotes conversation. And so Asturians have taken cider along with them throughout the world, and those who arrive in Asturias join in and share the cider culture. The world of cider is already a universe of producers, processors and distributors, and it constitutes its own culture linked to ancestral rituals, age-old trades and oral tradition. A traditional practice that has adapted to the current era without false reconstructions.
The culture of chigre, or cider bar, of espicha, and of festival that has been enshrined in museums, literature or music.
Para mí la sidra es cultura y tradición.
There is nothing like cider to identify Asturias, and everyone agrees to this. It is a legacy from the past, a banner of the present, and the best resource for designing a cultural, culinary and touristic product for the future, because it represents an entire community that has officially recognised it as an asset of cultural interest. The landscape, history, customs and Asturian society itself mix and age together in the cider barrel. This is called culture. The cider is the green river that transports this community through life. It is a symbol of brotherhood, which is summed up each day in a phrase as Asturian as it is universal.
La sidra es mundial.